All right, today we're going to look at optimizing a strategy. Most of the strategies that I have posted in the Discord are fairly optimized, at least for my taste and for long term. So the first thing you have to decide when you are optimizing strategy is what you're optimizing for and kind of take into consideration what this could mean. So you could optimize a strategy for a short term period. Maybe you're optimizing it for a certain time in the market or certain type of market condition. So let's open this strategy real fast and take a look at what's going on this Bitcoin. I'm just going to work on the Bitcoin 30-minute strategy. I'm pretty sure this one is built on the index. Yeah, it is. So we're just going to hit copy. I'm going to save that and start building with it. So yeah, like I said, it's important to know the market condition that you're trading for. Currently, Bitcoin has been on a bit of a bull run, kind of getting some win back after some downside earlier this month. And as you can see, the strategy's done pretty well holding sideways, even as Bitcoin has really gone down over the last few weeks and months. The strategy has done pretty great. So, the strategy is fairly optimized for the general overall market condition. When I build it, I kind of look at the current condition and a lot of different conditions through the years and find settings that will work well in most any condition. But like I said, we can maybe optimize this more for the current market period, and that would mean, first of all, deciding what kind of period you think the market is in, and then optimizing based on those periods. So, if we think that Bitcoin might be on a run like it was between trade 678 to trade 723, we can kind of look at those time frames. So let's decide, or let's figure out where trade 678 was and start looking at that time period. All right, so 678 is right around the beginning of the month. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to look at 2024, January. We'll just start January 1 and go to 2024. We'll just go to April 1. So I'll just click on the date range to make that come into play, and we'll build off of this. So it's, again, important to know that if we're wrong about the market condition, then the work we're doing here could kind of backfire on us if we end up going into a different kind of market period than we are assuming that we are in. That's the risk you take. And so a lot of strategies I will trade optimized for the full history of Bitcoin, just so I don't have to think about them as much. But for some users, it might be nice to make some more gains if you are a little bit more accurate about thinking what market conditions we're in. And then we can also, after we adjust this, we can go through some different periods and see what the results would be, maybe if we were wrong and we traded in the wrong period, just to make sure we don't get totally annihilated. But the first thing to look at would definitely be stop loss and take profit. So stop loss I have set pretty high in general, because in high volatility, it happens so often that the stop loss will get hit. If it's at 2, 3, 4%, the stop loss oftentimes gets hit, and then Bitcoin will bounce again, because Bitcoin can just be really, really volatile at times, and very rarely does it have huge cycle changes as far as where, I guess it would be trading range changes. Like every once in a while we'll go into a different trading range, and at those points you would want to have the stop loss for safety. But a lot of times the risk will do enough. But a lot of times the risk will do what we need it to do in those scenarios. So I kind of have the stop loss set fairly high, knowing that worst case scenario, I might get a huge dent in my account. But over time, if we hit a stop loss at 3 or 4%, 3 or 4 times in a row, we're already close to having a stop loss of 12 anyway. So it's just deciding the risks that you want to trade. So let's start with this maybe being a little bit lower to protect ourselves a little bit better. Maybe we'll go 3% and just kind of start looking at the results. I'm also going to change the take profit to, actually, since we'll try a few things, but since we're hopefully going into a little bit more of a bull run again, we might like a higher take profit like that. All right, we're at 17% there, so it's doing fine. Let's try a limit stop loss. Again, the hard thing about the limit stop loss especially is it'll just stop your trade out as soon as 3% is hit. So oftentimes it could mean that you lose a trade that would end up eventually winning. And yeah, so the net profit went down when we entered a limit. So the stop loss is not changing too much here. We can kind of jump over here and look and see what kind of moves happened. So here's where we were hitting some stops, and we might want to look and see better exit places. So that was a good, 5%. It would have been, it's like 3.75 looks like it would have done well. And let's look at this one here. So if we would have had 3.75, it would have gotten us out a little bit earlier. So let's try maybe a 3.75% stop loss. Maybe even 3.7 just to see. Okay, yeah, so that helps a little bit. We optimized a little bit more for that current market period. We can try a limit order again and just see where that falls. I'm really hesitant to use limit stop losses, but let's see. Okay, so yeah, we're kind of back to where we started. So that's a decent place to have a stop loss right there if we are considering that we might be in a bull run. Okay, the other things that we could look at optimizing would be BBWP threshold. Let's even just take it off and see where we're at without the BBWP threshold. Okay, so it's a bit worse without the BBWP. We're going to leave that on, but we're going to make it a little bit more lenient. See if we can beat about 18%. Yep, so you can see that actually brought our net profit up a good bit. Maybe we'll try bringing it all the way down to 20 and see what that does for us in this market condition. All right, so here's a real important thing to note. We just brought the BBWP down 2, and it really took some big hits back here. And you can see in January some of the beginning trades, and even the last few trades took some really big hits. So we definitely want to stay away from 20. Let's just try 23 just to even see, because I'm trying to stay far away from those conditions happening. Yeah, okay, so we're doing pretty good. We've added another percent. If you want to be a little bit more risky, you could bring that all the way down to 22 and try that. Okay, so now let's look at the weekday filters. Let's just take them both off and see where we're at without the weekday filters. All right, looks like both weekday filters are helpful and necessary for the strategy. So let's just go ahead and keep those on, and we'll go down to BBWP. Let's just make the flat sensitivity a little bit higher. Actually, let's put it all the way back at 1 and just kind of see where that takes us. Yeah, so bringing that up actually really helps our strategy, especially in a bull market period. So now we're at a great 25% profit in just a few months, with the drawdown being very reasonable, percent profitable. Everything looks really, really solid. And I'm going to just take off PMARP for a second to see where we're at without that filter. All right, so it doesn't look like that filter changes too much at all. Maybe just a little bit more profit over here, so we'll leave that on. If you're wanting to be a little bit more lenient, you can even take the flat sensitivity up more. I'm not going to do that in this video, but that is something that you might try working with. And I think we've done a pretty good job here. And the last thing to try would be looking at take profit. And it kind of depends on what size of moves you expect to be seeing Bitcoin making. So 5% is actually quite large, and it catches some large moves, but maybe we want to try to catch some more highs at a limit order that are more reasonable, because a 5% move will rarely happen, at least as far as being in a trade when a 5% move happens. So let's try to go down and just see what the statistics do. All right, so that actually made it a little bit worse. So let's go to 4. All right, so 4 is just a touch actually worse, so it might be good to leave it at 5. Let's just leave it at 5 because it seems like 5 is the optimal results even for this trading period. And the other things you can look at if you want to really go in depth on it is you can look at BBWP, the length and the look back for the threshold BBWP and for the slope moving average BBWP. I'm not going to get way in the weeds in this, but this can be slightly optimized as well for current trading period. So you can trade, or you can change the length and the look back. I usually try to change it by 2 numbers at a time on length. So, by 2, so down to 13 or up to 17, just to keep it a little bit more general, because if we're not careful, we will start over optimizing our trades. So yeah, you can see it made it slightly bit more net profit here. Try to go down to 11 just to see. All right, 25.37. I think that was a little bit better at 13. And let's go back to 252 and just see what that does. Okay, so 252, actually these results are looking really solid. So now we are pretty well optimized on the BBWP. If you wanted to spend more time and go through changing the look back a little bit more, length, and trying some more options, can always do that. But lastly, look at the BBWP slope, and let's just change look back to 252 to see where we're at. This actually probably will not help it, but we might be surprised. Yeah, okay, it actually did help it a little bit. And I'm going to leave it off there. If you guys want to experiment with these optimizations more, you can feel free to continue from here. You can change the price source to high and low and change the length and look back. Okay, let's go ahead and take the date range off now and make sure the chart still holds up. We've only done a slight bit of optimization, so I think it should still hold up really well. You will definitely want to take into consideration if you do heavy optimization, you will want to check the strategy over the full history or a lot of the history just to understand the risks. So let's take that off and see where we're at. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. This strategy holds up pretty well. I think that's where I will leave off on this video. Hopefully that is helpful on little tricks and ways that I optimize strategies. There will be a link in the description below as well if you are interested in becoming a part of our Discord and supporting me through Patreon and getting access to the bands and these trading strategies. Would love to have anyone that wants to join. Happy trading, and talk to you all soon.